record button, and it's time to welcome the team from Dwell Assured onto the screen. And I am also really delighted that, that you all were able to get one of your clients for us, Anita, who we all saw popping on and off the screen there. That's, you know, the real world and doing these types of discussions. It used to be that we used to have to wait 5 minutes for somebody to come up on stage. Now we're just dealing with a lot of technology. So I'm sure Anita's going to pop on any moment now. Let's start with there she is. Hey, Anita. This is great. Okay, let's kick things off with you, Hugh. You're the CEO and founder of a relatively new company, Dwell Assured. I think this is something that you've been thinking and dreaming about for many years. But before we dive into what Dwell Assured does and all the workings behind it, tell us a little bit about your background and what you did leading up to founding this new organization.
Oh, thanks, Steve, for the opportunity to come on your show here. I'm a graduate of the United States Naval Academy, and I've spent over 42 years in a variety of leadership positions, both within the Navy, private sector, but also in nonprofit organizations. And included in all that is 30 years of working with older adults, which is now my passion.
Great, great. And I like how you're holding off on the punchline there and just giving us the background. We're going to dive into what Dwell Assured it does here shortly, but let's meet some of your other team members.
And with me is Sherry Schultz, who is our administrative director.
Okay, great. Sherry, you want to give us a little bit of background on a little bit of your background as well?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's good to see you today and everyone that's joining the call. I just spent the last 13 years working with Leading Age, which is a non-for-profit organization in the continuum of care that's nationwide. So I was excited to join Dwell Assured just 2 months ago and to focus on this part of the business, which is aging at home. So I'm excited to be here.
Great. And then we've got Rachel. What's your role at Dwell Assured, and tell us a little bit about your background.
Of course, I am the assessment team director, occupational therapist, about 25 years or so of experience across all continuums. And I would say a few years ago, I really decided to take a different path, aging in place. And it's just become a passion of mine. And I was lucky enough to come across an amazing team of individuals at Dwell Assured.
I love it. And Anita, number one, I am thrilled. I am always thrilled when we feature organizations on here and you can bring a client or a family member on board that's used either the product, service, or support that you're offering. So Anita, thanks so much for making time for us today. And we apologize for any technical difficulties that getting on here has caused. Anita, we're going to get to meet you in probably a little more detail shortly, but tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been a teacher for a half a century. I'm 85 and I retired when I was 81. And I'm living alone and I want to stay in my house.
Wow. Okay. Sounds like a lot of the people in our audience and a lot of the people that we are serving is that we know from all the studies and the research that everybody's first preference is to age in place or age in community and stay as independent as possible. So this is great. We got to know you all. Now let's get to know Dwell Assured and the vision and the and what's all behind it. And I'm not sure, but I think you guys have some PowerPoints that you wanted to share with the audience.
We do, Steve, and Sherry's going to manage those PowerPoints, but I'm going to start. I was moved to found Dwell Assured after I helped a really close friend navigate a home health crisis, actually, with his mom. And I watched the difficult and emotionally draining process go through with him and his mom. He called me up one day and said that he was a wreck, both emotionally and physically. And it hit my heart. And I just said there had to be a better way. And thinking about it a little bit, I had been involved in volunteering with older adults for decades at that point. That's why he called me. But a one-stop solution that provides older adults with all the components to age in place, that's what was needed. And also in a way that people were ready before that transitional crisis arrived. And so that's what drove me to do this. So families and the older adults can completely enjoy their life as much as possible with peace of mind. In my opinion, Steve, the model in the U.S. for assisting older adults is not satisfactory. This incredible generation deserves better. We have a responsibility to care for our older adults. And as healthcare improves, the responsibility is only going to grow. And so, as you can see from this slide, pre-COVID, 88% of people wanted to age in their homes. And I'm sure after COVID, that percentage is going to be a lot higher. So this is what drove me to start Dwell Assured. And about 20 years ago, a couple of geriatricians explained to me what Maslow's hierarchy of needs was. And they told me in the context of that it was being ignored in the geriatric care model. 5 years later, I talked to them again and they said it's still not being addressed. And then 15 years later, they said it's still not being addressed. And then finally, they told me one day that it's really the elephant in the room that most geriatricians are trying to ignore or pretend isn't there. And so that's what really got me going. And so if you on the screen right now is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And for those of you who aren't familiar, you have different levels. And once you hit one level, you move to the next and all the way to the tip of the pyramid, which is self-actualization. And basic needs is that first level. Second level is safety and security. That's what Maslow described it as. But safety and security is physical safety and physical security. But we believe in our model that it's also freedom from stress and freedom from anxiety and preservation of all those valued routines that you've developed over all those years. And pretty much the home healthcare model, I think, deals with the first level very well and deals with the second level very well. Can we go back to that slide, Sherry? Yeah, deals with that second level, safety and security pretty well. But here's where it gets really difficult not because of a lack of compassion, but because of just the way our model is built and set up. So the third level is, per Maslow, love and emotional needs. And we equate that for an older adult to socialization. And socialization within their universe, not just, it has to be with people that they relate to. And within their unit, family, friends, church members. And then if you don't have this socialization, you're going to fall into that depression area. And that's a dark hole we don't want anyone going to, Steve. And the next level is self-esteem per Maslow. But for an older adult, we say that's being able to contribute to that universe. And it's a basic human need that you have value in your life. People just insist on that. So that's the fourth level. And again, that's value within your universe. And then the last level, that tip of that Maslow's pyramid, is self-actualization. And that's just a fancy way of saying reaching your maximum potential. And for an older adult, what that equates to is, setting goals, learning, and accomplishing things. And we firmly believe that with our model and with a team assisting you, any older adult can hit that Maslow's tip of the pyramid. It's a daunting task if you try to do it alone. And I would say almost impossible. But with the developments in in-home care for people with cognitive issues, and with a team around you of professionals who know what they're doing, it's possible for everyone to hit that tip.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, I remember, for whatever reason, one of the few things that I remember as an undergrad in my studies was Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I like it because they're elements that we all aspire to, all adults. But as you were talking, I began to reflect on the fact that a lot of times in the elder care system, we are doing so much for the clients that we're serving that oftentimes we're making it difficult to reach that self-actualization because we're doing so much for these folks. And it's when you start hearing the term infantilization of elders and things of that nature. So being reminded that the goal is for all of us, no matter what our age of ability, is to live a purposeful, self-actualized life is a great reminder, a great platform for a company. So I'm really curious to see how you all deliver these services.
Yeah, well, you hit a really key point, and it's really important for the individual, the older adult, and their family and their caregivers to own where they are in their life at this time, and to maximize the potential at this time, and really focus on that. Don't throw in the towel. Don't give up. Hey, and we develop a plan for people to make sure that happens. So I love talking about this model. It's taken us 3.5 years to develop 4 trials to develop this model and to create it. And so if you look at the diagram on the right, which is the Dwell Assured platform, the circle there, our model is the circle. And the first at the bottom left quadrant is our team. And so what our team is comprised of 3 individuals: a registered nurse, an occupational therapist, and the client and the older adult. These 3 people work together to accomplish what sometimes is the most significant goal that the older adult has, and that's to stay in their home and to thrive in their home. And so this team works together as a team to make it happen. The next, if you go up, the next quadrant there is our custom in-home assessment. Now, our assessment is created by medical and gerontology experts, and it's not created by like say the National Home Builders Association or somebody like that. This is created by medical professionals. And it's based on Maslow's as the pyramid as the basis and the foundation for this assessment. And so, and this is the basis for creating the Dwell Assured plan, or the plan that needs to be provided to an older adult. The next category is on in the top right. If you minimize your thumbnails, you'll be able to see it. But that is the service provider network. And this is really critical because, I said the team is 3 people, but the team is actually, it takes a village to age in place. And so the service providers really are a critical part of the team also. And we've identified over 70 different categories that an older adult might possibly need to successfully age in place. Now, everyone knows that it's an individual process. Everyone ages differently, but these 70 categories are what typically someone is going to come in touch and contact with. And we believe that in our model, that these service providers need to be experienced in working with older adults. It is a specific demographic, and I'm not saying that in an ageist way. It's a more demanding, because we have more. I'm a part of that group as well. We have more experience and wisdom, and we know what's good and what's genuine. And we also believe that they need to share the vision of our model, which is taking care of the older adult, not taking advantage. And then we also feel that when a service provider comes in to do their work, to provide their service, to repair whatever it is they might need to repair, that they not just come in and do it and perform it, they also walk the older adult through it. Because that's what I demand. We demand that, and we want to know what's going on when someone enters our house. And at Dwell Assured, we actually, in our service provider network, we interview every single person, and we make sure they sign a client bill of rights to hold them accountable to it. And the final part, which is really the most significant part, and is the service that we provide at Dwell Assured, is the age in place plan. Okay, that is the roadmap. That's the blueprint. It's created by this team of occupational therapists and registered nurse who are looking at stress, anxiety, routines, and they're creating this plan. And some consultants out there in business, not necessarily in the aging in place space, but just in any business, you'll have a consultant come in and they'll provide a plan, and it'll be a great plan, but they'll drop it on your lap. Well, everyone on this call knows that you can't do that with someone who's aging in place with an older adult. You can't leave them in the lurch. So we have the RN in our model perform routine check-ins. They check in every month to see what is happening that might disrupt the process of the plan, see what transitional events might happen, because people age differently and there are going to be transitional events that occur. And then, really important, we provide instant access to those service providers. The nurse will communicate with the older adult in those check-ins or when they get a call, and they will connect the older adult with the service providers, instant access. And in this day and age, when time is so valuable, Steve, you don't have time to search and track down service providers that might even be in a category that you've never experienced before, and much less vet them. So this is an instant time saver for the family and for the client. And it's actually one of the key things that the value that this model offers. We believe that this model is needed to provide for older adults, and it's completely different from the model that's currently in place. It's driven by so many different factors. We think that every older adult needs to be in the middle of that circle, needs to be right there in the middle of it. And like I said, the only services that we provide, we have our hands full doing the assessment, creating the baseline, creating the plan, checking in and monitoring it. We have our hands full with that. So we don't provide any services. This is why the service provider network is significant. Anyone listening to this who provides a service for older adults is a perfect partner for us, because we need you to help us. This is a village. It takes a village to help this generation, so worthy generation, to age in place and to age appropriately. And so reach out to us and join us and provide those services in the context of a plan that's so important. I think this is a good time to break for questions, Steve.
Oh yeah, and as expected, we've got some questions that are rolling in here. Let's see. Okay. First question is, did you get your inspiration from the Capable program that is at Johns Hopkins. That's actually a program that I want to get featured on one of our discussions. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I'm totally familiar with it. In fact, we're hoping to talk to them over at Hopkins to try to form a teaming because again, I think that we provide additional services and access to additional services than what they provide, and I think it's a great partnership possibility there to work with them.
Excellent. And there's a few questions on the geographic regions that Dwell Assured currently serves.
Well, we're starting. We're a new company, but we have a lot of people that want to partner, be strategic partners with us. But we are currently in Maryland right now. We service the entire state of Maryland. This is our first state, and we have plans to take this nationally, because this circle I showed you is a circle that can go into each population center. And specific in my original vision, I hope that the nurses, the occupational therapists, and the service providers were all in the same neighborhood as the older adult, because it takes a village to succeed. And helping neighbors, because in 2030, the services for older adults the need for services is going to outnumber the amount of service providers that there are. So we have to create this sort of model in order to get through that time.
Great. Okay, now, of course, there's always technical difficulties that can occur in these discussions. And the technical difficulty that I've got right now is my Q&A and my chat just went blank on me. Can I ask either Rachel or Sherry or you, Hugh, if you can access the Q&A questions and
Sherry, can you do that?
Absolutely. And I can see some questions here. I also want to just take a moment and thank some of our other colleagues who are joining us on this as well. Mark and Heather and a few others. But I see a lot of service providers that are on here wanting to reach out to us. So we look forward to doing that. In the Q&A section, we had, is your company supply the plan, but who on a day-to-day basis manages this plan if the person is alone and with no family members to manage it for them?
Rachel, do you want to take that as
and you know what? Actually, that question might be answered in sort of bringing Anita in her case into the fold, and sort of sharing how Anita has received help from Dwell Assured.
Definitely. So Rachel, why don't you talk more in detail, and we'll get questions like that.
I think that's a good idea. We definitely have a few great slides, and we'll probably be able to explain a little bit more about our Dwell Assured plan. So our plan, the Dwell Assured plan, as Hugh stated, it is a roadmap, and it's a living, breathing plan that changes with you, because life is always changing. And that's why we called it a plan, because a plan is meant to change and grow with you and change with you. So our team, which is the next slide, our team, it is an interdisciplinary team approach. As Hugh mentioned, we have professional, experienced RNs and OTs who are all aging in place experts. And at Dwell Assured, we work across the spectrum. We don't just focus on home safety or fall prevention or tripping hazards, but we look at psychosocial barriers, cognitive barriers, social, physical. So we address all the areas across the board for our older clients, our older patients, older adults. So he's saying that. So the plan, what is the plan? It's really a 360-degree plan. And we say 360-degree, it's comprehensive and it covers all areas. We look at physical health, as we mentioned, anything from low vision, barriers or challenges that might be related to low vision or chronic and progressive conditions, all the way through to sleeping challenges and disturbances, everyday living skills, cognitive health, if they need memory or recall strategies or tools or service providers so that they can live and thrive and function comfortably in their home. Their mental well-being and social support systems and networks, not only from within, but within the community. So are we looking at the barriers, maybe the accessible barriers that are preventing our older clients, the older adults, from being able to get in and out of their house, out to their volunteer groups, their exercise group, their luncheons with friends or family, spiritual health, and home safety, where we, in our in-home environmental assessment, we truly look at each and every room within and outside and identify any barriers, challenges that's preventing this client, our client, from thriving in their home. The idea is when we look at the home, we want the adult to feel empowered in their home. We don't want them to feel inhibited and therefore not, participate and do the things they love, their routines, their hobbies, cooking, they might love to cook, but their current kitchen setup, it's challenging them. So we really take a really deep dive into looking throughout their home and outside their homes. Now, we mentioned the team, and that was on that first slide, the 3 people, the client, the RN, and the OT. One thing I really feel strongly of mentioning is that this team stays with the older adult. And that's why trust and building that trust on the first point of contact is most important. It truly is the key to success. And we all know this. They are letting us into their lives and their home. And sometimes they are exposing, they are entrusting us with their biggest challenges. Sometimes challenges and barriers they don't share with other family members or friends. So building that trust and that rapport, it is key in building a trusting relationship. Because as Hugh said, we do follow up with them monthly. Over 12 months, we're with them through and through. We also know it is not just the older adult that we're engaging with, that we're building trust with. It is so important for us to bring in and build trust with every member of their support network. And that could be their friends, their neighbors, family members, adult children, life care, support system, case managers, social workers, doctors. It's everyone. And every client is different because it helps us gather as much information as possible to be able to create a unique, customized, personalized plan so that they can age successfully in their home. So I know we talked about the plan, and I know there's questions on, how does one keep track of it or participate in it if they're alone? But it's also important to know who are our clients. Who is an aging in place client? What is the aging in place space? Because what I have found in my experience, and I think a lot of people on here can relate to, especially our panelists, is the idea that you don't have to start thinking about, aging in place and setting, getting the resources and the tools to age in place. You don't have to wait until there's a need or a reason. You don't have to be in your 80s or your 90s. So there are categories out there, and I'm hoping everyone can relate to one of these categories and realize it's never too late. It's never too early, I should say. So we have our planners. Our planners, they're proactive, right? They're independent. They have not experienced a traumatic event. They really don't have a need at this time, but they know they want to stay in their home. So just like what Anita says, she wants to stay in her home. They're aware of aging in place. They're aware of the resources and that's out there to help them because they might have seen a friend or a family member go through an event in their life, whether, you know, an unplanned or medical, and see how challenging it was and what they had to go through to either stay in their home or maybe they weren't able to stay in their home and they're of the mindset, I don't want that to happen to me. I want to make sure I take the necessary steps. Planners also are your solo agers. You know, you have a lot of people out there who are aging solo and they know they need to set things up for themselves, you know, as they go forward in life. So they'll be set. You have the category of progressive conditions. These are our clients who might have rheumatoid arthritis or MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's and dementia. These are chronic diseases and illnesses that are with them. And after, you know, month by month or year by year, they are faced with new challenges and new barriers from this disease. So they're aware of the needs they have and that they will evolve. They know they need to start to get into the aging in place space, find out what's out there. But that's where Dwell Assured is key, because with our clinical backgrounds of RNs and OTs, we know the snapshot of where they are today and where they're going to be a month from now and a year from now, given the etiology of the disease. So we can really look towards the future and plan for that with them. And then of course we have the category of acute changes and traumatic needs. This is abrupt and unplanned, and we're all aware of this. We might have experienced it ourselves or a family member or friend, whether it's a stroke, whether it's a spinal cord injury from a terrible motor vehicle accident or a traumatic brain injury. This happens all of a sudden. It's not planned for. Families, you know, they're scrambling because they need to get things done in their home and they need to get it done today. Okay, so those are the three categories of the aging in place space, and I'm sure that we all can relate to one or maybe all of them. So how do we do this, right? How do we do it? We do it through partnering with an amazing referral service provider system. We have over 70 categories of service providers, and we partner with every single one of them. Because even looking at this diagram here, from home safety to home maintenance and health wellness, you might have a client that they're identifying with all the home safety modifications and health and wellness. You might have another client where today they need more support and help and resources and providers and financial and legal or daily living activities. But then when we follow up with them in 3 to 4 weeks, it might completely change. That one person who needed a lot of help and assistance in implementing home safety modifications might now be towards financial and legal. So it is personalized, it is ever changing, and we are with them to make sure that not only are all the service provider requests and recommendations that we set upon our initial development of their Dwell Assured plan, but that we're constantly changing it with them. And also all of these services and all of these providers and positive solutions that we help them achieve, it truly is a complement to all the other services and providers they already have within their life, whether it's, you know, their specialists or their doctors, their case managers, life care managers. We're here to complement what is already the people that are already involved in their life, because we all want the same thing. We all want them to age in place successfully. We want this to be positive because we're all going to be aging ourselves. And I only hope that, I'll be able to take advantage of this when I need it. So going on to our referral system, what should clients expect? And I believe we have several questions related to this. What should they expect? What they're gonna get is a very comprehensive plan, and they're involved in it every step of the way. They're the navigator. This is their life, and we're here to complement it. We're here to make sure we set up the best plan possible. And it starts right away with our 360-degree assessment with the RN, which is a very comprehensive assessment. And then we perform our in-home environmental assessment, and we look at the client's needs, their routines, their goals. And we develop a plan with instant solutions. We start to initiate those solutions and referral requests, and then the ongoing support. We're following up every 3 to 4 weeks with that client, with their support network. That's what the client would like. We are with them and they are with us as we continue to help them age in place. And we bring on more resources, more tools, more providers, and just continuously, enable positive outcomes for them, because want them to feel not only empowered in their home, but empowered out in the community. Because there's still a lot of life to live, right? We don't want to throw in the towel yet. And it is, in the end of the day, it is a living and breathing plan. That changes with them. And Anita, who is our wonderful client, she had a Dwell Assured. She has her own unique, Dwell Assured plan. And team. Anita, would you like to speak about your experience with Dwell Assured?
Anita, you are muted. If Amy can help you with that. Rachel, do you want to just say, oh, there's Anita.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here. Well, I just think it's a very thorough thing. I just speak from my own experience. The nurse spoke with me and initially for a long interview, and then I had Rachel come to my house. She gave me some great tips about what to do. Like, I had never thought about taping the cord. If one of the fuses is out in this house, and I'm renting one because I had a fire in my house while I was, and not my fault. But anyway, she suggested taping the cord down because the fuse went out in the place where I am now, and times a day. And I solve that, even whether it's, she had an idea about a tiered, she showed me a picture, a tiered
I know Anita freezing up a little bit.
that I could take around with all my junk that people had. I see Steve, but I don't see anybody else.
You're still
Can't hear.
Yeah, it sounds like we might be getting.
I could speak to this because I did.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a great time. I spent a few hours with Anita, and this is a really good example of how everyone is different. Anita is very independent and very active in her community, and her barrier was being exhausted by the end of the day and not having enough energy. And the modifications and the recommendations all went around and all had to do with energy conservation, just different things that she can do and we can implement and change for her so that she was not, having to expend so much energy. And even some vision. She has, there were some vision challenges with the steps, and we kind of brought in ideas and service providers to help Anita be able to go up and down the steps as she'd like and not to feel inhibited by it, to help her again feel confident and independent and empowered so that she didn't have to have any fears with going up and down her steps. So that was some of the examples.
Just interrupt a minute. One way, and I don't know. You're here.
And I think another one was Anita really wants to get a service dog. She enjoys volunteering.
A better sense.
If I should still.
And Anita and Amy, I think we need to ask you to mute because it's not coming through clearly.
Yeah, no, it's been great to get to know Anita a little bit better. And then I'm still having some tech difficulties here. So if you guys want to keep on going through any questions that are in the Q&A, that would be great.
Oh, absolutely. I can definitely read some of these.
Yeah, I know.
There are a couple of people who've asked if a person does not have a consultant like a life care consultant, how can Dwell Assured help individuals with these things if they don't have someone like another professional to help them get these things organized in their home?
Would you like me to, who would you like to take that?
Yeah, Rachel,
Oh.
why don't you take that?
Yeah.
That's actually what we have several wonderful service providers right in that market. Through our assessment, which is a pretty comprehensive assessment, we actually cover those areas. And if that is a need and a want of our client, we initiate that solution right away to inquire and to get them a life care manager, any financial help. We just had a client with needed elder law help. There another one that needed to, initiate a living will as well as estate planning. So we have service providers, really 70 categories that cover the spectrum because everyone does have different needs. So we would make sure to connect them. And again, they do go through a vetting process. It's not just anyone, it's someone that is trusted.
Great.
Thank you. I think there's another really good question that is important. Not everyone is at the same financial level. And so some of the experiences or recommendations may be more than what someone can afford. And so the question kind of specializes around, how does the client interact with saying, yes, I would like to proceed with something, or no, I do not wish to?
Yeah, and
That's
as a
a-
follow-up to that too, is it always comes up on these discussions is how much does
Yeah.
it cost to work with Dwell Assured?
Well, that's an excellent question. And first off, we told you about what we do, and the interdisciplinary, the monthly check-ins, the instant access to service provider, the two-phase evaluation, and the age-in-place plan. Our goal was to keep it at $1 a day to create all this. And so our price is $450 for the assessment. But if you know someone, if you even call our office, if you go on our website, ask for a discount code, and you'll be down to $375 for our assessment. And but I really like the question before also, Steve, which is, how do you afford this and the service provider? Because that is really why we formed Dwell Assured and was part of the vision. not every service is going to cost any money. There are so many nonprofits out there, so many groups, so many church groups, so many people out there with such big hearts that they have services that are very affordable. And what we do is, because this is what we do, we know who they are. And we're reaching them every day. We just talked to a transportation company in Montgomery County yesterday. And it's amazing how many people are out there. So not all of the services, not all the recommendations are going to be costing any money. And if we can, we want to make sure that happens, that you can get the services. We might recommend that you have some work done in your bathrooms to maybe renovate them or get grab bars. But when that service provider comes to your house, they are going to interact with you and they are going to figure out what is the best solution. And the best solution is definitely the one you can afford because you want to get the work done. And so you, the client, an older adult, when I get to be 75, I am going to want to be independent and I'm going to want to be in control. And so part of that means that I get to make those decisions. And so we connect the service provider with the client, and the client, that's a very important part. The client maintains control. They can say no at any time. They can say yes at any time. And they can talk to the service provider and say, I can't afford that. Is there another alternative? And the service provider will work with you because they're experienced working with older adults. And they know that they are there to take care of the client, not take advantage. And again, when we check in monthly, we're able to check in on the performance of the service providers. We're able to check in and see how everything is going. So that's a very huge component of what we do, is to make sure you have an affordable thing. And then the last item is nobody who needs an assessment is going to go without an assessment. We will make sure that everyone gets an assessment, no matter what their financial situation is. We do insist that everyone pay a little bit, because then it has value, and it has value to the individual.
That's great. I'm flying blind here, guys. So just keep on monitoring those questions and
keep going, Sherry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's some really great questions. Thank you all so much. I would say that one of the questions is, are we really just focused on non-medical care? And, we do not provide physical care to clients, but what we do is partner with continuing care at home organizations, with, being at home is what the goal is, to thrive in your space where you want to stay. And so, our goal is to be, person-centered, collaborating with, within the person's environment, whoever that is, working with aging, AAAs, aging agencies, in states. Maryland has a wonderful program there, resources that are available throughout the state of Maryland. They know of us, we know of them. And I think it's really important when you are looking at, what the whole totality, Rachel and her team are all
Yeah,
clinicians.
I definitely want to add to that.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. So please do.
It's an excellent question. We have great service providers with home care, whether medical or non-medical, that if during the assessment process, if a client needs assistance with medication management, or there's wound care or oxygen issues or other things that are more medical, we connect them accordingly to make sure that those needs are being met. So we have a whole partner category list that is growing as we speak, because we have a wonderful full service provider network team that is constantly going out there and making sure that we bring in those medical personnel and support to work work with the client on those more specific issues. Even, you
Great.
know, title check, colonoscopy care, you know, any help that they need.
And, you know, I think this one question is really good and something that maybe Rachel Ann, who you can answer, and it's talking about the life care management consultant and how we may work with them or how we may complement one another. We know that sometimes there's some overlap in what the services are. So thank you for addressing that.
I'll go first, and Rachel, why don't you go first on that?
I think you should. I'm gonna pass that to you.
Okay. There is going to be overlap with almost. We don't provide any medical services, so anyone who provides any services to older adults that are not consulting, or that are consulting, I mean, there might be some overlap, but there are definitely holes because we are comprehensive. And so our purpose and one of our missions is not to compete with anybody who provides any service to older adults. There are not enough of us. So we do not want to compete with you. We want to add value to you. So I think the most challenging one as far as trust issues, because that really is our biggest, has been one of our biggest challenges, is people actually feeling threatened by what we do, but we don't. We partner with you. We want to enhance the services that you provide to your client, and that's every person that provides services for older adults. Our goal is to have everybody in that circle that I showed you, and as you can see by the cost of our services, we're not going to have many competitors because of the cost. Our true goal and mission is to have everyone in that middle of that circle working with all the service providers in the region. And a perfect world would be all of the service providers in the region being in our network, and we refer people to you. And you refer your clients to us, because to fill the holes of the services that you don't provide, and to have every older adult working with a plan, working with a group, a team that will help them successfully age in place and connect them with the most cost-effective and most efficient service providers to accomplish that goal.
I knew you would do a phenomenal job.
Well, one of the requirements to work, actually, to be an employee at Dwell Assured, is to be passionate and enthusiastic about what we do, because we have a vision that we want to make a reality, and we cannot do it ourselves. We need every person out there who provides services to older adults to join us.
Great. Well, it looks like we're getting close to the 1 o'clock hour here. Sherry, are there any additional questions or comments? And then make sure that you all drop your contact info in to chat so that folks can follow up with you. Again, I'm really flying blind here, so I can't see any of the conversation.
Right. Well, I think there have been some very similar questions, but just to wrap up, thank you so much for having us today from Dwell Assured. We are very excited to be a part of the conversation, the larger conversation, and we appreciate the opportunity to talk and to serve, older adults across the state of Maryland today, but also looking forward to expanding into the DMV area. With your support and the rest of those that are participating in the call today. As Hugh said, it takes a village, and we're really pleased to be a part of that.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. And our contact information is in there.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, Anita, we just have a second.
Okay, well, what I want to say is you talked about the self-actualization stage. It can allow people to get to that stage. I'm thinking of doing things like lecturing at the Hammond Harwood House because I had my MFA in decorative arts, and I just wanted to share that. And that makes you feel better, like you're a part of the community. And getting all these other things can control, you can benefit to have a better life as you age. I plan to live to be 100, and I've got 15 years to do it. So that's what I have to say. It's a good program because it allows you to get those. You're not worried about the other stuff that you can, as you did when you were 22, you can act the same way.
This is why I love what I do.
People who live in nursing homes, I've got a couple of friends that are, and they really hate it. You know, they get somebody to bring their meals, 3 meals a day and whatever, but they really hate it. And, you know, so if you can stay home, you're better off.
Great. Well, this has been a certainly an interesting webinar on the topic, and me personally dealing with some technical issues here.
We make it
but-
memorable, Steve. We make
Exactly.
everything
Yeah, it's a
memorable and
memory.
well assured.
So
all
I want to thank
Par for the
everybody
course.
for attending. I will download the recording and keep my fingers crossed that that is that turns out okay. And thank you, and really
Thank you.
looking forward to hearing what's up with Dwell Assured in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it.
You
Thank
bet.
you, Steve.
Okay, thanks everybody. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.